When did you decide that there was a gap in the market to create that product and that brand itself? And how long did it take from ideation to actual launch? And what was that process like?
Yeah. Through my experience at Havenly as well, seeing all these other direct consumer like sofa brands, Bob, or even like Casper was doing like bedroom furniture and all this stuff, but nothing really existed in the nursery category. And the reason that was so pertinent to me and the reason I noticed it more was because I was in the process of having my first child and seeing what my friends were buying. A lot of people anecdotally would be like, oh, like a glider is really important for your nursery. That's where you spend so much time in the first 6 months because that's where you're rocking your baby and feeding your baby when they're up every 2 hours and all that stuff. But everyone had the question of like, oh, what's the best glider on the market? Or where do you get yours from? Like, that is so interesting that that is one of the most expensive pieces in the nursery. The average price is like $1,000 and yet no brand existed. So that kind of was the convergence of everything, like my knowledge of the furniture brands out there and that there was this white space around the nursery in general. There was no one centralized place to really buy those pieces. We chose the glider as kind of the Trojan horse to get into the nursery just because we felt like it was a really overlooked product. When we looked at the market back when we started this whole thing, really the gliders that were on the market were just effectively like modifications of existing living room furniture, or they weren't basic things. They didn't have stain resistant fabrics. Like any mother or any like father would tell you who was a newborn that like you need stain resistant fabric. Like that's such a basic thing, but it was crazy how that wasn't really the norm on the market. So the way that we went from ideation to really launching is we started with the product. We always knew, especially as a direct to consumer brand, we needed to have like a high quality product. We opted for premium and really nice materials versus going more mass. That was kind of the decision we made in the beginning. And we interviewed hundreds of moms and dads to come up with that list of features that we thought were the most important for the glider that we came out with. And that was kind of it. Like we really focused a lot in the first, call it almost a year, on designing the perfect chair for the nursery. And so that took about a year. And then this thing happened called COVID. So we were supposed to launch in, I want to say, sometime around when pandemic started. We were going to start like pre-orders and things along those lines. And unfortunately, our products are made overseas and all of these things. And we were waiting for the container and it just kept getting delayed. So we ended up launching in the summer of 2020, but in a completely different environment, which actually was beneficial to us because people weren't going into stores at all. So as a
Right.
direct consumer brand, you always hope that people will make a leap of faith, especially with the furniture piece of purchasing something online that they haven't tried. Like you always have to kind of grapple with that. But with the pandemic, what was nice is like none of our competitors who might have had brick and mortar stores, like no one was going into their stores either. So we did have that going for our advantage when we launched. But then on the flip side, we also had supply chain issues. It was a chaotic time. So it kind of evens out, but that was kind of the process in the launch.